Why is masculinity suddenly at the center of public debate? Masculinity isn't just a buzzword anymore, it's a battleground. In workplaces, schools, politics, and even friendships, questions about what it means to be a man are stirring emotional reactions. Some feel masculinity is being villainized, others believe it's being liberated from outdated roles. This isn't just cultural commentary, it's deeply personal. For many men, this debate feels like walking a tightrope. Be strong, but not aggressive. Be kind, but not weak. Express emotion, but not too much. The rules are changing, and fast. Some see this as progress, a move toward healthier and more emotionally intelligent men. Others view it as confusion and an erosion of identity. But almost everyone agrees, the traditional mold of masculinity no longer fits. This video isn't about blame or binaries. It's about understanding. Let's unpack how we got here, what's changing, and whether the very idea of masculinity is under attack or just being reimagined. How did history shape our current view of what it means to be a man? Masculinity has long been defined by roles: protector, provider, and authority figure. These traits were necessary in tribal societies and wartime economies, where physical strength and emotional stoicism were survival tools. In many ways, they weren't toxic, they were essential. Over centuries, those roles solidified. In the industrial age, men were breadwinners, soldiers, and disciplinarians. Vulnerability was seen as a liability, and emotional openness became taboo. The man box got smaller and smaller. Media played a major role in reinforcing these norms. Think cowboys, war heroes, and action stars. All were emotionally closed, physically dominant, and morally certain. Little space was left for alternative models, yet beneath this rigid image, many men were suffering silently, unable to grieve, to ask for help, or to live outside the box that they were raised in. Understanding the roots of traditional masculinity doesn't mean excusing its flaws, it means contextualizing why so many still cling to it. Does the phrase toxic masculinity help or hurt the conversation? Toxic masculinity was coined not to describe all masculinity, but to call out harmful behaviors like dominance, emotional suppression, and being physical. But the phrase has sparked backlash, especially among men who feel labeled for simply being male. Critics argue it unfairly generalizes. They ask, if toxic masculinity exists, does that mean masculinity itself is inherently bad? That defensiveness, some say, derails important conversations. Supporters of the term insist it points to real issues, such as boys being punished for crying, men being discouraged from seeking therapy, or communities tolerating being physical under the banner of being a man. Still, the nuance often gets lost. Social media thrives on outrage, not complexity. Many people reject the term, not the idea behind it. If the goal is healing and growth, perhaps the language we use should reflect that, with less being about shame and more being about transformation. What emotional burdens do modern men carry, and why don't we talk about them more? The data is sobering. Men are more likely to unalive themselves. They are less likely to seek therapy. They often report feeling isolated, directionless, or ashamed to express pain. And yet these issues are rarely front-page news. Part of this is conditioning. Boys are taught to be tough, to man up, and to suppress tears. As adults, this becomes emotional repression, not because men lack depth, but because society punishes them for showing it. Even in relationships, men often feel pressure to perform, whether it's to earn more, to solve problems, or just to always be okay. Vulnerability is still seen as failure, and for many the only acceptable emotion is anger. Social media makes it worse. Comparison culture thrives. If you're not muscular, wealthy, emotionally perfect, and spiritually balanced, then you're failing at modern manhood. But there is hope. The more we name these pressures, the more we can break them. Is there a version of masculinity that isn't toxic, but is still strong? Absolutely. Healthy masculinity isn't about rejecting strength, it's about redefining it. Not just physical power, but the strength to listen, to empathize, to admit when you're wrong, or to support others without ego. It means making space for emotions like joy, grief, fear, or love without shame. It means mentorship instead of dominance, boundaries instead of control, and protection without possessiveness. It also means being accountable, challenging locker room talk, speaking up against any negative behaviors, and owning one's past mistakes. True masculinity doesn't fear vulnerability, it thrives in it. We've seen examples everywhere. Men raising kids solo, advocating for mental health and redefining leadership in quiet, consistent ways. They're not abandoning masculinity, they're elevating it. This isn't about softening men, it's about completing them. Have we gone from accountability to blanket judgment? In a rush to confront real injustices, some movements have made sweeping judgments. All men are trash became a meme, while straight male voices were sidelined in progressive circles. Every flirtation was seen as inappropriate. While rooted in pain, these reactions often create more division. Many men feel vilified, not educated, defensive, not reflective. The result? Withdrawal, silence or worse, resentment that festers into radicalization. If we want real change, we can't shame people into it. We have to invite them, meet them where they are, and show the path forward without burning the bridge behind them. Men are not the enemy, toxic systems are. Let's keep that distinction clear. Is there space for both male empowerment and gender equality? Yes, and they must coexist. Feminism isn't about defeating men, it's about dismantling systems that injure everyone. And traditional masculinity in its most rigid form injures men too. Feminism challenges norms that say only women should be caregivers, or that men should always provide. It wants partnership, not polarity. Men can and do benefit from feminism, gaining freedom from pressure, space to cry, to parent, to be creative, and to choose purpose over paycheck. But the movement must also listen, include male voices and address male pain, not just in opposition but in shared humanity. The future isn't feminine or masculine, it's human. How are today's boys forming their ideas of masculinity, and what messages are shaping them? In an age of infinite content, boys are flooded with ideas about what it means to be a man. From TikTok influencers to classroom role models, the messaging varies wildly. But one thing is clear: boys are watching, listening, and internalizing far more than we realize. Many still grow up hearing that crying is weakness, that dominance equals respect, and that emotion is something to hide. These lessons may not be explicitly taught, but they are absorbed through side comments, offhand jokes, and the kinds of role models boys are given. Online spaces play a huge role. Some offer powerful and healthy mentorship, but others lean hard into toxic ideologies. Misogynistic influencers package negative messaging in language about confidence and power, attracting boys hungry for identity and belonging. The absence of balanced, emotionally intelligent male voices in boys' lives can leave a vacuum, one easily filled by extremists. Boys want strength, purpose, and approval. If we don't show them how to seek those things with integrity, someone else will. We don't need to tell boys to be less. We need to give them more examples of vulnerability, more language for their feelings, and more mentors who model what real strength looks like. What could masculinity become if we allowed it to grow beyond the walls we built around it? For centuries, masculinity has been shaped by restriction. Don't cry, don't falter, and don't feel too much. Men have lived inside a mold that rewarded silence over softness and dominance over depth. But what if that mold was never meant to hold the full truth of who men are? We're at a cultural crossroads. One path asks men to keep suppressing, defending, and performing, while the other invites them to rediscover their own humanity, not by giving up masculinity but by expanding it. Real masculinity isn't brittle. It doesn't shatter when challenged. It adapts, it learns, it supports, and it knows that true strength isn't proven by who you can get physical with, but by who you can lift up. The future of masculinity isn't about becoming less, it's about becoming whole. It's about men who can lead and listen, protect and reflect, provide and feel, as well as cry and conquer, all with equal courage. This isn't just about men, it's about the world we all live in. When we free men from the old script, we free families, communities, and future generations to become something better together. What do you think? Is there a future where feminism and masculinity can coexist productively? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell if this video made you think differently. And share it with someone so we can reshape the narrative together. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.